Hi. All right. I think it's going live. Can't really tell if it's broadcasting just yet, but I'm Andrea Morris and of A Ripe Mango Marketing, and I am going live in my Facebook group, Marketing Minimalism, to talk about. I'll do a little bit of an email makeover on an email that was sent by Good Medicine Tea Company just yesterday. And I'll also talk about some of the successes that they've been having as a result of their marketing emails that they've been focusing on for a few months now. So I'll start out with that first, and then we can just get into the email after that. So I've been working with Good Medicine Tea for about 9 months now. And for the past 4 months, we've been focusing pretty hard on sending out emails to their list. And by that, by working hard, I mean we've been focusing on making sure they send an email twice a month, that they have some sort of subscriber perk every single month, and that they are doing more to connect with their audience. And so the success, the fact that we've been doing this now for a few months, it's really starting to show. It's really paying off for them. And the first way that was evident was by their sales in December. They had by far their best month ever with website sales. And certainly that's not only attributable to the emails. A lot more people did holiday shopping online this year, of course, so they were probably going to always have more sales than in past years. But I feel very strongly that if they hadn't been doing that consistent email marketing in the months leading up to the holiday season, they would not have gotten near as many sales. I'm like, if I had to guess, I would have guessed probably about half the number of sales they did. So it totally paid off for them, and they were just so ecstatic about the fantastic sales that they had through the month of December. Another success that they've had is, so I've noticed over the course of the past few months that it takes me a lot less time to do my edits and rearranging and notes and comments on their emails. So what usually happens is Alexa will write a draft of the email, then she puts it into MailChimp, then she sends it to me as a test, and then I go through and I kind of I'll go into her MailChimp account, I'll make some changes, and then I'll sometimes send some comments. Then usually we hop on a phone call or a Zoom call and we talk about it. And in the past, or when we first started out, it could take me up to an hour to make those changes. Now it's more like 10 minutes because Alexa has learned how to write her emails quickly. She keeps them short. She writes about one topic. She keeps it really to the point. And she's just kind of learned how to, just get it done really efficiently in a way that she knows will work with her audience, essentially. Because she's been doing it for a little while now and doing it consistently, she's just learned what works. And so it's so much easier for her to write the emails and so much easier for me to edit them and give some feedback. So just that, seeing how much easier it is for them to do this is really rewarding for me at this point. And then their other success is within a couple hours of sending this email yesterday afternoon, they got a whole bunch of orders for the subscriber perk in this email. So, we just know people are opening, people are reading, people are clicking and buying. So everything that's supposed to happen is happening. So again, it's so good. It's so good to see that from my end, that it's working for them and it's making life easier for them because they have this way to get sales that doesn't take a ton of effort. And so after all of that, I'll now just quickly jump into this email and talk about just a couple changes that I made, and that'll be it. So the first thing I want to mention is Alexa started out, "We toasted 2020 with a hot mug of firelight chai and giant snowflakes coming down." And the moment that I read that, I unconsciously pictured Alexa and her husband Turner sitting there on New Year's Eve. They have their mugs of Firelight Chai. Maybe they clink them together. Maybe they're sitting on the couch looking out the window at some snow. And, so I pictured the scene without even thinking about it, which I think is what we do all the time when we're reading. It's just oftentimes we're reading so quickly, so we don't really pay attention to it. But I have I have forced myself to pay attention to these things so that I can help write better emails. And so I also realized that I wanted to know a little bit more. So I could picture it, but I couldn't really picture the feeling. Was it festive? Were they happy and looking forward to 2021? Were they feeling like, were they looking back on 2020 and thinking, oh man, this was such a tough year? Or were they thinking, wow, we came a long way in 2021 or 2020? I just kind of wanted to know what they were feeling, what the mood was. So when I got on the Zoom call with Alexa and Turner, we talked about that a little bit. So we added a little more of the story into the after email, which is the one that they sent. And the other thing that I want to talk about in this first draft, the before email, is Alexa wrote, "This is the time of year when my tea stash starts to look like the toilet paper aisles last April." And she wasn't sure if she should keep that line in. She thought it might be weird to talk about toilet paper in an email about tea. But I said, no, definitely keep that in. And there are a couple reasons. One is just that if that's what she's thinking, if that's what she's imagining when she thinks about her tea stash at this time of year, then go ahead and write it. It's more colorful, it's more interesting than just saying, my tea stash is getting low. And the other thing is, it also allows other people to create a picture of that in their minds. So they think back to what the toilet paper aisles looked like last April, and then they think about their tea. Does my tea look like that? It just kind of gets those wheels turning, and it gets people thinking. It's like, because it's more evocative, because it's something they can picture, it gets them more like open, I think, to thinking about, am I experiencing this too? Is my tea stash low? Like, does my tea stash look like the toilet paper aisles? So that's where these little stories and vignettes and colorful language really come into play, and they come in to help with connecting to your audience and getting them to buy. So again, those were the two things that I suggested, or that we talked about for this newsletter. Now we'll jump over to the after, the one that they sent. And so you'll see, I'll scroll up a little bit here. You'll see that we added an entire paragraph here about, like, just kind of filling out that story about New Year's Eve. So again, I was on a Zoom call with them. I asked, okay, what was it really like for you guys? The thing they kept coming back to was that it was really hard for them to stay awake until midnight. They have 2 young kids. They regretted staying awake until midnight the next day, but they did it. And they apparently have been doing this tradition for a few years. It's a Spanish tradition of putting a bunch of grapes in your mouth, 12 grapes at each strike of the clock at midnight. And then they also talked about how they listen every year to this just like ridiculously over-the-top version of Auld Lang Syne with a full orchestra and bagpipes, and it's such an amped up version that it gets them, that they want to put on their kilts and run out and pillage their neighbors. So we talked about all of that, and we basically just wove all of that into the copy. And again, it's like, it just makes it more fun. Like, that's not necessarily something that's going to sell your tea, but that is something that allows your personality to come through, which is what makes people look forward to reading your emails and feeling like they get to know you as people. And, that's that connection that gets people to stay loyal to your company. And then the other little thing that we did was we just also bulked out the description of the toilet paper aisles last April. So again, like a couple empty tea canisters tipped on their sides, not a tea bag to be found. And I thought it was a little helpful to just like build on that description of what the toilet paper aisles look like. So again, people are thinking about it a little bit more, and it gets them to think about their own tea stash. So that's really it. That's I just really wanted to show how these little stories and these descriptions can go such a long way toward building the connection with your audience that then leads to those sales. And, you know, in the case of Good Medicine Tea, it's happened over just the course of a few months, sending 2 emails per month. So really not a ton of effort, but it's really done a lot to increase their website sales. And so if you are a small business, especially like a small product-based business, and you really want to be sending out emails, but you haven't figured out like a good process to do it, I do have a free guide at the very top of my website, aripemango.com. So, and that guide is just a few steps to help you get into the habit of being able to send emails more often so you can start to reap some of these benefits. So again, just head to aripemango.com. It's right there at the top, and I hope that helps. And in the meantime, if you're watching this, come join me in my marketing minimalism group. Send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. All right, thanks. Bye.